huge learning targets for English 9A is that students are going to be able to identify and analyze the theme in a work of literature. We did some things leading up to the activity today. And students seem to be continuing to struggle with the learning target of identifying a theme and finding supporting evidence for that theme. Today, I just found a very, very short story so that I could give them a formative assessment on novel material and really kind of gauge their understanding of the skill. Because I don't want to give them something we've already read and talked about. I want to give them new material so that I can really assess their understanding of how do you do this learning target. So in your groups, I want you to come up with the theme. Read through the sheets that you just got. I had them talk about what a theme of the short story would be and have reasons for why they got to that theme. Wanted to see who has the learning target quickly and who needs more support. So I walked around the room and I gave each group either a check minus, or a check plus. If they got a check plus, they had a theme that was completely aligned with the story and completely supported by the textual evidence that they saw. If they had a check, they were on their way, but they had an issue with comprehending the full meaning of the story. And if they had a check minus, they were completely lost about how to comprehend the story and then how to move past comprehension to thinking about the universal life lesson. Huge learning target for English 9A is that students can identify and analyze the theme in a written piece of literature, right? We've been talking a lot about that. This is a very short story, and you had very limited time to identify the theme. Some of you got there pretty quickly. If you got a check plus as your group, you got it. It makes sense with the story, right? You're good on this. If you got a check, it means that you're almost there. You are on your way, but there's a couple elements of the theme that you came up with that don't quite make sense with this piece of text. If you got a check minus, you stalled out a little bit, and I'm going to give you a jump start, okay? Students in groups that got a check plus were paired with students in groups who got a check because their understanding was almost there and they just needed a little bump to get them to the mastery level of understanding, which students who had mastered could explain.
So what's a town? So what was the story that
what do you guys think of like the story behind it, like your imagination, like what do you think happened?
One more time.
I like the way we do this in class because when we're in bigger groups, a lot of people don't want to talk because they're too afraid they're going to be like, people are going to judge you. I felt really good helping them because I felt like if they know it, then the whole class will get it.
Students who got the check minus were very lost and they needed the most expert person in the room to guide them, and that person is me. So I pulled those students into a group and we had a discussion where I gave them guiding questions to help them think about what happened in the story and how to understand that and then how to generate a theme. And they went through that process with me guiding their thinking.
Whoa! Alyssa, understanding of the story. Is that a decent name? Sure it is.
Just something you can pop up and stuff. And then your guys'
What did you have to do to get there?
brainstorm.
What else?
Okay, so what does that mean?
Ask
questions.
Ask questions. Reread. Take apart the story.
Find topics.
find topics.
Right.
Feel better about it? Alright.
I liked how she broke us up into 3 groups. One that sort of gets it, and one that does get it, and then one that doesn't really get it.
We talked in a group of 4 and we didn't really understand what was happening. Like we came up with themes, but they weren't completely there. So then we went over and talked to Ms. Pankratz as a bigger group, and we understood it better because she helped us out.
Outcomes of the formative assessment was that I was surprised about how many kids were there or were almost there. Because in previous class discussions, the kids who were most confused were most vocal. And that led me to believe that the majority of them were still struggling with it. So I liked today's lesson because it gave me better information about how many kids were actually struggling with the learning target, and it's fewer than I thought. So then I could do anchor activities in the future and pull out that group of kids who are still really struggling with it and just reinforce their understanding, as opposed to planning whole group lessons about how to find theme when a majority of the class already understands the learning target. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and it's my job as your teacher to make sure that I deal with those strengths and weaknesses when they occur in the classroom at that moment.